Hello, and my name is Benjamin Azachi, and today I will be giving my speech on how the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting the mental health of Americans and people across the world. So let's begin. The coronavirus global pandemic has completely changed the world as we knew it over the course of the past several months. At this current time, this virus has affected over 3.5 million people, including over 70,000 deaths here in the United States alone. People across the globe are being affected in many different ways. Social distancing has become the new normal, economies are being shut down, families are unable to see loved ones in hospitals or assisted living facilities, remote learning has been issued across the United States and around the world, and self-quarantining, etc. FaceTime and Skype has become the new way of communication throughout this unpredictable time. For some, self-quarantine may not be so hard and stressful. Those with large houses, swimming pools, family to keep company with, quarantine might not be as mentally and physically draining, but for others it is much different. Right now, there are millions of people, for example, in New York City, who are stuck in their tiny and cramped apartments while the stay-at-home order is in place. This is not only physically very hard, but it is also affecting the mental health of Americans just as much, if not more. Studies have shown that those suffering from anxiety, PTS, substance abuse, and other forms of chronic mental illness are some of the most vulnerable in a time of isolation and loneliness. They are at risk of self-destructive behavior due to a lack of consistent support and disrupted routine. People who suffer from anxiety have been deeply affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So what exactly is anxiety? Anxiety is an intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear about everyday situations. We may not realize it, but this pandemic has actually raised a lot of anxiety in our society. For example, panic buying. Now this is a quote from Megan McIntyre, which I used her article as a source for my speech. Quote, "For these people, the COVID-19 pandemic may create an elevated fear of catching or dying from the virus. Anxiety sufferers are prone to catastrophizing, which can result in behaviors like panic buying or trying different medications and treatments in an effort to cure or prevent the coronavirus. The media has also greatly contributed to the anxiety of our citizens. The news is what keeps us alert and gives us information regarding global events. People have fallen victim to the news stories regarding all the negative effects the virus has brought to our people. We have come to the point where we often fail to see the good in the world while we are surrounded by a crippling darkness. While it is very important to stay inside and keep ourselves physically healthy, we must also prioritize our mental health and learn to do things to cope with our mental health struggles such as anxiety and depression. It is important to practice different things and find what helps you put your mind at ease during the course of this pandemic. One coping strategy is to try what some psychiatrists call being with your fear. It involves identifying what is currently causing your fear in a particular moment and acknowledging that you and your body are currently safe. Practice deep breathing and ground yourself in that breathing. Being social is a part of our human nature, and that is why it is also especially important to stay virtually connected to each other. Family and friends are very important during this time, and it is encouraged to stay connected by designating a phone call every day to keep close to loved ones. It is also important to limit exposure to the media. Another quote from Megan McIntyre, "Allow yourself to check in once in the morning and once before dinner, and setting a timer for 15 or 20 minutes and logging off when that alarm goes off. Allow yourself to look for positive stories rather than just coronavirus updates, which often feeds our anxiety. It is important to acknowledge anxiety, but also take the necessary actions to cope with it during this unsettling time." The pandemic is also affecting many people who struggle with depression. Depression is a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities causing significant impairment in one's daily life. This pandemic has been very dangerous to those battling depression due to the fact that there is no outside influence reminding us of the good, and instead we solely focus on the bad. They can develop a skewed sense of the situation and potentially left unable to pull themselves out of it. So another quote from Megan McIntyre, "Depression sufferers may have a growing sense of hopelessness or may be paralyzed by their fear, leading them to neglect themselves and their health. End quote. However, there are many things that we can do to fight depression during isolation. First off, it is very important to keep connections. Connections remind you that you are not alone throughout this process. Virtual meetings and phone calls are crucial. Having a daily routine is also important. For example, waking up, taking a shower, getting dressed, working out, and cooking your own meals can all be very important to a daily routine. It gives your brain something to do even if it's telling you to stay in bed all day. Keep your mind off the negative and try to focus on the positive. This can include a funny movie before bed or finding a good book to read. Keeping our mind active and healthy is very important during this new normal. In conclusion, being aware of our mental health is equally important as remaining inside and staying safe to protect our physical health. With all the extra time on our hands, we can research and learn about how to take care of our mental health during isolation. Keeping in touch with family and friends is vital to maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Keeping your mind active through exercise, meditation, reading, etc., are also all very important. Keep in mind, though, this virus has caused a negative decline in our society, but there is also a lot of good that can be seen as well. Now is a better time than ever to value family time. Personally, throughout isolation, I have truly learned the value of family. We are spending more time together than we ever have before, and it has brought all of us closer together. I encourage all of y'all to do the same. Stay optimistic during this tough time, and we as American people will come out of this together and be back stronger than ever. Thank you.